Good morning, students. Okay, so we were discussing Gauss law, which states that the electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 upon epsilon times the total charge enclosed inside that surface. Okay, that is closed surface integral of electric field is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Okay, then we have proved also this Gauss law. Okay, by considering a point charge which is enclosed inside a spherical Gaussian surface. Okay, then starting from the left hand side, that is closed integral of E dot ds, we reach the right hand side which is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. So hence we have proved Gauss law. Okay, so today we will be discussing the applications of Gauss law. Okay, so here applications of Gauss law due to using this Gauss law, we'll find out the electric field due to continuous charge distribution. Okay, continuous charge distribution like infinite long line charge distribution on the surface. If the charge is distributed, we'll find out the electric field. So the first application, write down electric field due to an infinite long line charge. Okay, that is the charge is uniformly distributed along the line. So we'll find out the electric field due to this infinite long line charge. Okay, so let us draw an infinite long line charge. Let positive charges uniformly distributed on this infinite long line. Okay, now due to this infinite long line charge, we have to find out the electric field at a point P, okay, which is nearby. So as it is infinitely long, we consider a particular length. Let us consider L length of this infinite long line charge, and will enclose the charge which is in length L inside a Gaussian surface, inside a closed surface. Okay, so Gaussian surface is a hypothetical surface. Let us consider the Gaussian surface to be a right circular cylinder which is passing through the point P. Passing through the point P. So here we have enclosed the charge Q which is in length L inside a Gaussian surface, and the Gaussian surface here we have considered as a right circular cylinder. Okay, now what is electric flux? Because we are starting from the Gauss law, which is the closed electric flux. So electric flux is the number of electric field lines passing through a surface. So here we see that on this Gaussian surface, there are three types of surfaces. Two are circular surfaces and the one is cylindrical surface. So the electric field lines will be passing through these surfaces. So we'll find out the electric field. So in order to start, we consider a small surface on each of these. Let on the upper circular surface, we consider a small surface and its area is ds1. Small area, small surface, so small area ds1. Now what will be the direction of ds1? Normal to the surface. So this is the direction of ds1. Electric field, as here it is the positive charge, we know that the electric field points away. So the electric field is pointing away. The same way on the other circular surface also, we'll consider one small surface. Let its area is ds1, same type of surface. So its area is ds1 and this is the direction of ds1, normal to the surface, normal to the plane. Electric field due to positive charge points away. Now the third type of surface is the cylindrical surface. So we consider one small surface area on the cylindrical part also. At this point P, we consider one small surface area. Let its surface area of this small part is ds2 and ds2 normal to the surface. Here we have drawn the direction. Electric field due to the positive charge pointing away. Okay, so first you have to draw all this figure. We consider a particular length on this infinite long line charge. Let Q charges enclosed inside this Gaussian surface. So we have drawn the Gaussian surface and let Q charges enclosed. Three types of surfaces are there. So here we draw the surface area on each of this part and draw its direction, electric field due to the positive charge pointing away. Okay, now we start from Gauss law. Okay, as we are doing the application of Gauss law, using this Gauss law, we'll find out the electric field. So we'll start from Gauss law, closed surface integral of E dot ds is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. So here the charge enclosed inside this Gaussian surface, let it is equal to Q. Q is the charge enclosed inside the Gaussian surface. Okay, now closed E dot ds is equal to, as it is the electric flux, scalar quantity, the electric flux through this circular surface plus the electric flux through this circular surface plus the electric flux through the cylindrical surface. So it will be equal to E dot ds1. This is for circular surface, for circular part, plus E dot ds2. This is for cylindrical part. Is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Now how many circular? Twice of E dot ds1 by, because there are two circular surfaces. Okay, so twice of E dot ds1, or you can write down E dot ds1 plus integral of E dot ds2 plus integral of E dot ds1. So this will be twice. Okay, and we know that dot product is equal to E into ds1 into cos of angle between them. Okay, E dot ds1. What is the angle between E and ds1? It is 90 degree, pi by 2. So E into ds1 into cos 90. And we know that cos 90 is equal to 0. So this part is 0. That is, the electric flux through the circular part is 0. That is, no electric field lines are passing through the circular part. So E dot ds1 for the circular part is 0. Twice of E dot ds1. For both the circular parts, the electric field is 0. No, the electric flux is 0 because no electric field lines are passing. E ds1 cos of angle between them is 90 degree. Now for the cylindrical part, E into ds2 into cos of angle between them. As you can see in the figure, the angle between E and ds2 is 0 degree, is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. So for the circular part, the electric flux is 0. Okay, take this E outside, cos 0 is 1. Integration of ds2. ds2 is the small surface area considered on the cylindrical part. Integration means the total surface area of the cylindrical part. We know that the total surface area of the cylindrical part is 2 pi r into h. What is h over here? It is L. So the integration of ds2, that is the total surface area of the cylindrical part, is equal to 2 pi r into L, where r is the radius of this cylinder. Okay, the Gaussian surface which we have considered, its radius is r, is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Okay, now let's see what is this Q. Q is the charge enclosed inside this Gaussian surface. Okay, so in case of infinite long line charge, in case of linear charge distribution, we calculate linear charge density, and we know that linear charge density, which is represented by lambda, is equal to charge per unit length. So Q is equal to lambda into L, where lambda is what? It is the linear charge density. Okay, linear charge density, which we have already discussed, is charge per unit length. So E is E into 2 pi r into L is equal to, Q will be equal to lambda into L upon epsilon naught. So here L cancels out from both the sides, and hence the electric field is equal to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught into R. So what is the electric field due to infinite long line charge? It is equal to, okay, note it down, then I'll write the electric field. Okay, so first write the heading, electric field due to infinite long line charge. Start from Gauss law, closed E dot ds is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. This is the total electric flux through the circular part plus the electric flux through the cylindrical part is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Q is the charge enclosed inside this Gaussian surface. For the circular part, E ds1 into cos 90 here is 0. Okay, and the angle between E and ds2 is 0 degree. Okay, integration of ds2. That is the total surface area of the cylindrical part, which is equal to 2 pi r into L. Okay, now Q here is equal to lambda into L. Okay, so what are we finding out? Electric field. So here we have to find out this E due to this infinite long line charge at what point? At a point P. Okay, note it down. So I'm rubbing the first two lines. Okay, so what do we get? Electric field is equal to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught into R. This is the expression for the electric field due to infinite long line charge. Now, as electric field is a vector quantity and any derivation, whenever you derive any physical quantity and if it is a vector quantity, you have to write it in the vector form. So, E vector will be equal to some direction here you have to put. This is the magnitude. Now, only to give the direction, here you can represent the unit vector n cap, which is pointing along here. So direction is n cap, which is the unit vector as shown in the figure. Okay, now n cap will be pointing outwards if lambda is positive. Lambda is positive means positive charge is uniformly distributed on the line. If lambda is negative, then n cap will be pointing inwards. Okay, so here as lambda is positive, lambda positive means positive charge is uniformly distributed. Okay, so n cap will be pointing outwards. If lambda is negative, that is negative charge is uniformly distributed, then n cap will be pointing inwards. Okay, so here you can write down this is the electric field due to infinite long line charge. Write down if lambda is positive, then n cap points outwards, then n cap, okay, this unit vector which we have shown here as shown in the figure, then n cap, that is the unit vector, points outwards. And if lambda is negative, and if lambda is negative, n cap points inwards, n cap points inwards. Okay, so lambda positive, electric field will be pointing away from it. Lambda negative, that is negative charge uniformly distributed. Where will you draw the direction of n cap? Electric field, as it will be pointing inwards, so n cap will be pointing inwards. Okay, so we have found out the electric field due to infinite long line charge using Gauss law. So the first application of Gauss law is to find out the electric field due to infinite long line charge. Okay, now the second application will find out the electric field due to infinite thin sheet of charge. That is, now the charge is uniformly distributed on a sheet. Okay, so which charge density will consider? Here we'll consider the surface charge density, which we represented by sigma, which is charge per unit surface area. So the second application, write down electric field due to infinite thin sheet of charge, due to infinite thin sheet. Okay, charged infinite due to infinite thin charged sheet. Okay, that is the sheet is okay. Now the same way, first we'll draw a sheet on which let positive charges uniformly distributed. Okay, so this is the thin charge sheet. Due to this thin charge sheet, we'll find out the electric field at a point P which is close to it. Okay, using Gauss law, as we are doing the applications of Gauss law. So first we'll draw the Gaussian surface. Okay, let this is a thin sheet, infinite long thin sheet, okay, which is perpendicular to the plane of the board, on which Let positive charges uniformly distributed. With charge, positive charges uniformly distributed on this sheet. So again, as it is infinitely long, we consider one surface. Let us consider a circular surface on this sheet. We have considered a circular surface and let its area is S. The area of this circular part which we have considered on the sheet, let it is equal to S. Or if its radius is R, then you can write it as pi r square. Okay, as we know that the surface area of a circle is pi r square. So here we have considered a circular part on the thin sheet. Now we have to enclose this circular part inside a Gaussian surface. Okay, that is the charge should be totally enclosed from all the sides. So here again let us consider it's a hypothetical surface. Any type of surface here you can consider. Let us consider the Gaussian surface to be a right circular cylinder whose half part is on one side and the other half is on the other side. Why? Because we have to enclose the charge totally inside the Gaussian surface. If this is the Gaussian surface, charge is here also, here also. So half part of the Gaussian surface, that right circular cylinder is on this side and the other half is on the back sides because we have to enclose the total charge. Okay, now again, three types of surfaces here we'll see. Here we are seeing. Let us consider a point P where we have to find out the electric field. Okay, this is the point P where we have to find out the electric field. So at point P, we consider a small surface area the same way as we have done for the line chart. Okay, we consider a small surface area. Let its surface area is ds1. Draw the direction of ds1. This is the direction of ds1. Electric field, as it is the positive charge, electric field pointing away. We see another circular surface also. So here ds1 pointing away, normal to the surface, electric field due to the positive charge, again pointing away. Two types of surfaces. Here we have considered what is the third type of surface? Cylindrical surface. So consider one small surface area on the cylindrical part. Draw its direction, let its area is ds2. Electric field due to the positive charge pointing away. So this angle is 90 degree. Okay. So three types of surfaces. Again, as we have considered the Gaussian surface to be a right circular cylinder. So three types of surfaces are there. Two circular and the one is the cylindrical surface. So we consider one small surface area on the circular part. On each of the circular part, draw its direction, electric field, positive charge pointing away. The third type of surface is the cylindrical surface. Draw one direction of ds2 and the electric field. Now start from Gauss law. Okay, as we are doing the application of Gauss law, closed surface integral of E dot ds is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. What is this Q? Q is the charge enclosed in the circular part. Okay, inside this Gaussian surface. So inside the Gaussian surface, which surface? This is the circular part on which the surface on which the charge enclosed is Q. Inside the Gaussian surface, this is Q. Okay, again in the same way, closed E dot ds1. How many circular surfaces are there? 2. So twice of E dot ds1 plus integration of E dot ds2 is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Now here, this is for circular surface or for the circular part, and this is for cylindrical part. Okay, and we know that dot product E dot ds1 will be equal to E into ds1 into cos of angle between them. What is the angle between E and ds1? It is 0 degree. So it is equal to twice integration of E into ds1 into cos 0 degree plus integration of E into ds2 into cos of angle between them. What is the angle between E and ds2? 90 degree. Cos 90 is equal to 0. So the electric flux here due to the cylindrical part Okay, in case of infinite long line charge, the electric field due to the circular part was zero. So here the electric flux due to the cylindrical part is zero. That is, no electric field lines will pass through the cylindrical part. Is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Why this is zero? Because E into ds2 into cos 90 degree. Cos 90 is zero. Okay, twice E outside, cos 0 is 1. Integration of ds1. Integration of ds1. ds1 is the small surface area on the circular part. Integration of ds1 means the total surface area of the circular part. What is the total surface area of the circular part? Pi r square, or you can write directly as S, because this surface area, this circular part surface area, we have considered it to be S. So this is also equal to capital S. Integration of ds1 is S only, or you can write down pi r square is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Now what is Q over here? Which charge density will be considered, as the charge is uniformly distributed on the surface. So Q is, or sigma is equal to surface charge density is equal to charge upon surface area. Okay, this charge is distributed. Which surface we are considering? Only this circular part surface. So sigma is equal to Q upon S. So Q is equal to sigma into S substituted over here, twice E into surface area, sigma into S upon epsilon naught. This surface area cancels out from both the sides, and hence the electric field is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Okay, so note it down. Okay, and then I'll rub the first two lines and I'll write it over there. Okay, so a thin sheet which we have considered, on which positive charges uniformly distributed, and its surface charge density is sigma. Let it is equal to sigma. Sigma is equal to charge enclosed in this surface area capital S upon epsilon naught. Okay, because we are considering only the circular part, as this is the infinite long line sheet. Okay, so the same way as we have done for the line charge. See the types of surfaces: two circular surfaces and one is the cylindrical surface. So E dot ds1, surface integral of E dot ds1, how many times? Twice. Why? Because there are two circular surfaces. Plus integration of E dot ds2, draw the direction. Here we see that the angle between E and ds1 is 0 degree, and the angle between E and ds2 is 90 degree. Okay, so written. Hence, the electric field due to infinite long line, infinite thin sheet, E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, is the electric field due to infinite thin charged sheet. Okay, again, as it is a vector quantity, so write it in the vector form. This is the whole magnitude, only the direction you have to represent, that is unit vector. Okay, so here we will see that the electric field is pointing along this direction. So here in the figure, you can draw this unit vector direction, and here you can write down n cap. Okay, again, if sigma is positive, then n cap will be pointing outwards. Sigma positive means positive charge is uniformly distributed on this sheet. Sigma negative means negative charge is uniformly distributed on this sheet. Then the electric field will be pointing inwards, so the n cap will be pointing inwards. Okay, so write down. If sigma is positive, n cap points outwards, and if sigma is negative, n cap points inwards. Okay, so today, using Gauss law, we have found out the electric field due to an infinite long line charge and due to infinite thin sheet. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be discussing two parallel sheets are there. Due to these two parallel sheets in different regions, we'll find out the electric field, and also the electric field due to a spherical shape. Okay, that's it in this chapter. Then we'll be completing this chapter. Now you'll be doing the NCERT exercise questions. You have to do the solved examples also, which are given inside the book, and also the exercise questions. Okay, so there are a number of questions. So first 10 questions you will solve it tomorrow. Few questions from that we'll discuss. Okay, first 10 or 1 to 20. If you get time, you can solve till 1 to 20.